Hello, my dears. What's up, guys? Welcome back. My name is Zachary Daly, the professional idiot, and today I've got another movie review. This movie review is one of those weird movies where it had a lot of potential but didn't really go anywhere. It was kind of good and not good. There was a lot of mystery into it, and the kind of stuff was boring, and it was also kind of something exciting, and some stuff wasn't done right, some stuff was okay or great. It's kind of weird mix of bibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff. Apparently this is the new side for bibbly wobbly timey wimey. So this movie review is about the 2018 movie Winchester, starring Helen Mirren as the mysterious and unexplainable Sarah Winchester. The real life Sarah Winchester was this really weird, unexplainable person, almost as weird and unexplainable as the house she built, which was under construction 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for decades on end until her death on September 5th, 1922. There are some theories where she was actually crazy, some stories where she was an empath, actually talking to spirits, others said that she was actually really smart and just acting. Whatever it was, not everything is known about Sarah Winchester. For those of you who are not familiar with the name Winchester or the story surrounding it, the Winchester was the name of the Winchester rifle. The company that produced the rifle, the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, was the company that produced the first rifle to feature a repeating action. Every rifle before that was manual reload down the barrel every single time you wanted to fire a shot. All you have to do with the Winchester rifle was just click one, and then you have another shot ready to go. All you have to do was just click, and the rifle was ready to go. The reason why I'm bringing up how the gun changed everything and about how the Winchesters made their fortune off of mass murder, this is not me being political. This is actually a very integral point of the entire movie. The movie begins with a man who is the representative of the Winchester Arms Company that comes to a man named Dr. Eric Price, who is enjoying himself in certain... Eric Price is a very skilled doctor, and this representative comes to Eric Price asking him to come out to the Winchester mansion to evaluate the mental status of Sarah Winchester, because some people in the company, even though Sarah Winchester holds over 50% of the stocks and the shares of the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, there's some who want to see Sarah Winchester removed because they think she's not mentally fit anymore because of her age, because of her belief that she's completely crazy and that she's talking to spirits, blah 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 blah. So Eric Price is taken out to the Winchester mansion, where she meets a young woman named Marriott, who is Sarah Winchester's niece. Marriott's son Henry also plays a role in this movie, more on that a little bit later. So Eric Price is brought out to the Winchester mansion, and you can actually go there, and the tours are really expensive. I should let you guys know. I've never been there personally, but I heard it's really expensive, and I've also heard that everything they tell you on the tour is BS. So just be warned, but it's apparently supposed to be a really cool place, and architecturally is just off the wall from all the documentaries I've seen on it. Eric Price is brought out to the Winchester mansion and meets Sarah Winchester, and almost immediately Sarah Winchester begins telling him of how she's not really the one building the house. It's the spirits of those that were killed by the Winchester rifle that are telling her what to do. The house is under construction 24/7, and this is not what drove Sarah Winchester to build a house in such a fashion in real life, I just don't know, and not a lot of it really is known. But in the movie's portrayal, Sarah Winchester is building off the ruins because all these spirits of those that were killed by the Winchester rifle are basically inhabiting her body for a short amount of time. They are basically at night, when Sarah Winchester is not wandering around the hallways like a ghost herself, she's in a room doing all these sketches of rooms, and she claims they're being guided by a spirit's hands. And when she gets a new drawing complete, she gives it to the workers who build a new room, like a greenhouse or a library or a certain ballroom, yada yada yada. And when they're done with that room, if the spirit is okay with that room, the spirit will move on. And if it doesn't, it gets stuck in one of those rooms. And if they're really bad, she instructs the workers to seal the door with a board of wood and 13 nails, 13 being the devil's number, keeping those dark spirits or demons where they're supposed to be, and not let them out, and not let them cause even more harm. So once the room is done, the room basically once the room is done and is no longer needed, basically the room is just torn apart and it gets turned into something else again. Basically the house is like constantly shape-shifting all the time, and one of the workers says to Eric Price, so Eric Price is trying to figure out exactly what's going on with Sarah Winchester, but when Sarah's already starting to get into Eric Price's head and starting to basically tell him about Eric Price's own life, which Eric has said nothing to her about. What we find out in the movie is that Eric Price actually has had a personal experience with a Winchester rifle. His wife shot him with one, and Eric Price was dead for a couple of minutes before coming back. After Eric Price's late wife shot her husband, the wife, out of misery and out of guilt, killed herself with a Winchester rifle. And this actually turned out to be a major plot point, which will be mentioned later. So Eric Price is trying to get to see whether or not Sarah Winchester is mentally fit for this, but Eric Price can't get past the fact that Sarah Winchester is starting to see past him, see things that he wasn't expecting. And Eric Price is having difficulty making any headway until he follows Sarah Winchester one day and encounters one of the ghosts that are the main point in the movie.
Oh, hell no!
So after Eric Price has this frightening encounter with the ghost, which will be the main antagonist of the movie, then the very next morning, he admits to Sarah Winchester that he left his room. And when Eric Price first arrived at the Winchester mansion, there are many rules that he has to follow, and one of them is that once it's night, you cannot leave your room. So Eric Price admits that, yeah, that I actually saw something, and Sarah Winchester goes, oh wait, you actually believe me? And she starts telling him about what's happening, you know, how spirits are guiding her to construct all these different rooms. And all these are different kind of spirits that were killed by the Winchester rifle, and Sarah just feels an incredible amount of guilt for her company basically being responsible for the mass murder of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And she's just being plagued by this guilt, and she knows this, and she's building all these rooms to try to at least help some of them. And she calls some of these ghosts temporary visitors, and they guide her into constructing rooms for them. And once the room is complete, they like it, they can stay there for a little bit, and then some of them leave. Others that are a little bit darker or more demonic have to be nailed up with a board and 13 nails to prevent them from leaving. So while Eric Price is starting to understand that there are paranormal things going on in the house, things take a turn for the worst. I mentioned before Marion Marriott, the niece of Sarah Winchester. Marion's son Henry becomes a problem. In the very first scene in the movie, you see him wandering around with a bag on his head and a very creepy kind of look. Later on, Henry seems to get possessed and actually tries to kill Sarah Winchester. Luckily, he doesn't kill Sarah this time. And now Eric is getting really concerned. Is this boy completely delusional? Is he sick? But Sarah Winchester is completely convinced that one of the dark spirits in the home has tried to take over Henry and try to execute Sarah Winchester. But again, Sarah Winchester believes that there's a lot of guilt on her soul for selling so many weapons that kill so many people, and the ghosts, some of the darker spirits, are seeking retribution. At that point, Eric is like, okay, you know, we gotta find this boy some help. And Sarah's like, no, we need to lock the boy in the room, keep him 13 nails. We can't leave this possessed boy just to be here. We need to keep this spirit trapped. Eric Price refuses, stating that Henry is just really, really sick and he needs help. So he goes out, and one of these very creepy butlers that has been in the movie so far says, can I help you? Yeah, of course. And he turns around, and the butler just suddenly becomes a demon and vanishes. After seeing this demon butler just disappear to thin air, Eric Price is terrified. He sprints back to Sarah Winchester, who Sarah then shows Eric a picture of the same butler. During recent wars, when the Winchester rifle was being produced en masse for armies, this particular person in the photo was a young soldier who had two brothers, both of whom were killed by the Winchester rifle. So apparently, in revenge, he had taken a Winchester rifle and and dressed in a suit with a Winchester rifle in his hand and the cloth bag over his head, which is one of the reasons why little Henry was wearing the bag over his head, because he was possessed by the same spirit. So this young soldier who had lost two of his brothers to the Winchester rifle, he was so angry with all this guilt, he bursts into the Winchester, basically he bursts into this Winchester factory and just slaughters dozens of people with the same kind of weapon that killed his two brothers. He ends up getting killed by police, but the spirit of this soldier stuck with the house. And during the movie, there's just this room that Sarah Winchester drew in one of her trances and was constructed, and what you find out was an exact replica of the room that soldier had been killed in. And at this point, Sarah realizes that Eric actually has something a little bit more in common with the Winchester house and the weaponry than he expected. You later find out, and I said this earlier, that Eric Price was actually killed by a Winchester rifle. He was dead for a couple of minutes before he came back, but that was enough time for his soul to be tied in to the soul, all the other souls that were all attached to the Winchester mansion and to all the rifles that were in that mansion. And you'll later see the ghost of Eric Price's late wife, who committed suicide by putting a Winchester barrel up in her mouth and pulling the trigger. And Eric Price kind of has this kind of relapse of it where he is shot by a ghost bullet. In the movie, you also see him holding on to this little shell, which we realize that shell contains the round which shot him. And later on, where Eric Price and Sarah are trying to contact the spirit, who gets very, very powerful later on in the movie, Sarah realizes that that's the ghost of that soldier who's becoming very demonic and very, very powerful, and clearly now the main antagonist. She realizes that ghost is afraid of Eric Price for some reason, but Sarah can't quite put her finger on it. Before she can put two and two together, Sarah Winchester gets overtaken by the ghost of that soldier, who causes an earthquake which destroys several floors of the house. The earthquake in the movie, while a little bit ghostly dramatized for the cinema, actually happened in real life. It was called the 1906 San Francisco quake. One of the most famous earthquakes in history also affected San Jose, where the Winchester Mystery House stands, 50 miles away. Even 50 miles away, the earthquake was so strong it actually crushed several of the floors in real life. And for a bit, Sarah Winchester was trapped for a little while until workers came to get her out. In the movie, Sarah Winchester was also trapped, but in the movie she's being trapped by this dark spirit, which would stop at nothing to kill Sarah Winchester for producing the rifles that killed both of his brothers. So Eric Price finally puts two and two together, and as he's going back up to Sarah Winchester, he starts seeing more of these spirits that have been killed by the Winchester rifle. And in this final confrontation, he realizes that what the ghost is so afraid of is not Eric Price. It's that round which hit him. The round which killed Eric Price for a couple of minutes has now basically been like ghostly enhanced, and that is a shell which can kill a ghost. So Eric Price gets up into that room, which was the replica of the room which the ghost soldier died in. He gets that shell which killed him years before. He loads it into the Winchester, and just at the right moment, he shoots that ghost with it. Even though you can't kill a ghost with a bullet, that specific bullet is now tied in with the souls of all those who died by the Winchester rifle, and that eventually ends up killing the ghost, allowing him to be at peace. At the very end of the movie, Eric Price writes back to the other medical boards and says that after many days of study, I have concluded that Sarah Winchester is mentally fit to continue on with the duties as proprietary shareholder of the Winchester Repeating Arms Company. So he leaves, and Henry and Marion are both safe. Eric Price survives, Sarah Winchester survives this ordeal, and Eric Price manages to go back, having learned quite a bit of perspective on his life. Rotten Tomatoes gave it only a 14%, which basically means absolutely terrible. Other sources like Google users, and 86% of Google users seem to like the movie. It's all very mixed reviews, and I can sort of see why. The Winchester Mystery House is a great story, and it would have made a really, really great movie. Unfortunately, the Winchester movie, while entertaining somewhat, it didn't go all the way it didn't go as far as it could have. There's a lot more they could have done with the story. There's a lot more substance, and it's a combination of not using enough, there's not creating enough story to be as captivating as it could be. And there's just so more about the Winchester, about the Winchester tale, all the stories that surround the mansion, and there's just more story they could have put into it, and a lot more real life story they could have used in the movie, and they didn't use as much as they could have. My biggest note about the movie was that what was presented in the movie was quite good, but the main problem was that there was a lot more they could have put in and just didn't use it, which made the story. So the content that was in there was good, but overall there wasn't enough story in there that could have been put in there. There's a lot more real life drama and suspense and story surrounding the real Winchester house, and the real Sarah Winchester that could have been put in the movie and was simply not put in there. What I really like is that kind of the connection that Eric Price has with the Winchester rifles in the house, and though he doesn't realize it. It's a really cool concept how he got killed by a Winchester rifle, even though he was only dead for a few minutes, and that tied his soul in just as much as all the other souls that have been killed for good by the Winchester rifle, and he is kind of connected with all these souls. He's connected with the soul of his wife who committed suicide by the Winchester rifle. He's a lot more tied into it, and that was a really interesting aspect and a really clever storytelling idea. On the Idiots movie scale, I would give it 71. I don't want to go below 70 because what was in the movie was pretty entertaining, and as long as you don't take all the supernatural stuff seriously, because I'm personally not a big believer in the supernatural or the paranormal, so as long as you don't let it get to your head or give you crazy ideas, and the movie is entertaining, and all that mystery and all the ghostly stories that are surrounding it, they make it for entertaining stories, but stories they are only. And they're not taking, as long as you don't take them for real or whatever, it's entertaining. But I only give it a 71 because I would have given it a lot more points if they had actually done a lot more with the content of it. And as a story writer, and as a budding filmmaker, I would really have liked to see a lot more done with it, because there's a lot more that could have been done with it. Overall, I gotta say to Helen Mirren, you did a great job portraying Sarah Winchester, almost to the point where honestly it kind of creeped me out a little bit, which I believe was the whole point of the movie. So nicely done playing Sarah Winchester, and I'm gonna give that to you. If I had an actual drink, I would give you a toast, but this is just water, so I can't make an actual toast. So to wrap up everything in a nutshell, the Winchester movie was okay. What was in the movie was pretty good. There's just a lot more that could have been done with it, and Helen Mirren basically prevented the movie through her brilliant acting, preventing the movie from becoming a complete failure. Thank you guys for watching this movie review. I know this was kind of a weird movie, but I would say that go ahead and go buy the Blu-ray and the DVD, the Blu-ray combo pack. I mean, it's not the best movie around, but I think it's definitely worth the couple bucks that I pay for the ticket to go see it, and I definitely think it's worth going out and buying the Blu-ray disc. I think it's worth it. In the case of loss of cabin pressure, or in the case of demonic possession, poor little Henry, place the mask under your seat, over your head, to hide your terrifying expressions to the other passengers. View the description of the device, batteries are not included. Please do not go on a murderous rampage, because Henry got possessed and that didn't go well. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.